Good day traders, welcome back to the weekly market fix where we bring you price predictions and chart analyses of all your favorite crypto, commodity, indices and forex instruments. This week we will discuss the recent sell-off and correction in cryptos and look at what we can expect in the weeks to come. Please be so kind as to support our channel by hitting that subscribe button. Just a brief look at our disclaimer before we get started. Looking now at Bitcoin. To understand what has been happening with cryptocurrencies over the last couple of days, it's important to understand that markets do not always go up. And despite, especially in cryptocurrencies, there's this very, very popular saying called HODL, H-O-D-L. It means holding on for dear life. And, what these guys are implying is that, despite, the movements and the volatility that you might see in the market, overall, they're holding on for cryptocurrencies and, Bitcoin to go to the moon. In other words, overall, it will just continue to go up. And obviously, there's also a lot of manipulation in the market. We've seen, likes of, Elon Musk, impact that his tweets can have on the cryptocurrency markets and how it can send people into a frenzy. And, this could have to the effect, the type of sell-offs that we've seen over the last couple of days. But I think it's important to remember that overall, it's healthy for markets to pull back and to resume their trends. And if we look at Bitcoin, and as I've said, we're on the daily chart, we can see that overall, we are still trading at this stage. We still have the 100 trading above the 200 and even the 50 trading above the 100. So still very much a bullish trend. And we can actually see that as a very healthy pullback to a previous level of support. And just looking at this head and shoulders pattern that I've identified in our weekly video 2 weeks ago, at least I've mentioned it, and I've mentioned it again last week, is that, this head and shoulders pattern actually had a target at that monthly S3 level. So that's the full target. I know I mentioned the yearly R1 pivot, which is sitting at 37,370, but overall, the low of that sell-off that we saw on the 19th, that was exactly right on that monthly S3 pivot level, which also is the head and shoulders target. And looking back, we can see that was an important level of support. So just going into the next couple of days and the next week, what we need to look out for is continuation. So if we continue to see bullish price action, especially above this yearly R1 pivot, I think it is very likely that we'll then see this head and shoulders neckline being tested at around a yearly R2. So that would probably be in the vicinity of 46 to about 46.2. Depending on the type of price action we see from this level, it might come back, to retest one of these levels, perhaps at about 40,800, also a very important level. Just looking back, you can see that was previous resistance, meaning that is still support at this stage. So a move back to retest that neckline could see a move back to that level, again retesting that daily 200 SMA as well. If price breaks above the yearly R2, that will most likely set Bitcoin up for another bullish move, and that can then take it back to that yearly R3, which is still very strong resistance, and which would be the level to watch for any further moves towards all-time highs. So that level is sitting at 63,470, close to our previous all-time highs. Of course, another thing that is worth noting is that we have our untested yearly pivot still sitting at 20,600 and about, 20,600. And what that means is the yearly pivot has not been tested at all so far. And that's actually quite rare for a yearly pivot to remain untested. And I'm not saying it is going to be tested, but if we do see a breakdown, back below the yearly R1 and back below that monthly S3 and the low that we've seen, this week, that could see a sell-off towards that 20,000 level where the yearly pivot is. So that will still be in line with longer-term trend that can be emerging and bullish price behavior for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies to continue. So it's definitely not the end of cryptocurrencies just because we're seeing a deep pullback. Just moving on to some of the other popular cryptocurrencies. If you look at Ethereum, we can see a similar thing happened. We actually had a very strong run, over the last few weeks. And the pullback actually, was just to right, below that daily 100 SMA and the monthly S1 pivot. So not even an aggressive pullback in the bigger scheme of things, although it is quite a big pullback from the highs that we've seen. And if I were to draw a Fibonacci retracement swing level over here, where that bullish trend actually started, we can see that we had around about a 70% retracement from that level. So it's a deep retracement, but at this stage, it's still finding some support from that daily 100 SMA and also currently trading above the monthly pivot. So once again, the levels to watch would be for a break back above that 3,090 level. That can then again see price head back towards those highs where we have the monthly R3 at 4,000. So that's also a key psychological level. A break, of course, below, I'd say, that monthly S1 and below that key support level currently at 22,090. That could see a deeper correction towards the strong level of support that we have at 1,400. And just finally, for our cryptocurrencies, looking at Ripple, XRP, we can see that we are still trading above the daily 100 SMA. So all three of our cryptocurrencies has actually found some support on these major moving averages, with Bitcoin finding some support from that 200, Ethereum from the 100, and also XRP from the 100. And we can also see, just looking to the left, we do have that support level around about the level that we are currently have our current lows. So this is definitely a support at this stage. Of course, if price were to break below that, again, a deeper pullback perhaps towards this level of 0.43, 43 cents is possible. Whereas if price can get back above that monthly pivot, and that is the level at 1.36, 1.35, a break above that could then see a price move back towards the previous highs that we've seen last month. And then just having a quick look now at gold. Here you can see gold still continuing that breakout from that overall bearish channel quite nicely. I am expecting somewhat of a pullback, perhaps towards this R2 monthly level, where we also have our daily 200 SMA. That would be at about 1,850. But any bullish price action and price behavior from this level will see price most likely continue towards that level of 1,900, currently where we have our monthly R3 level, pivot level, and also an important level of previous support and now resistance. And that's why I've highlighted this resistance zone. Of course, should price break below that level of 1,840 to 1,850, if it breaks below this level and violates that diagonal support, we can see a pullback perhaps towards that major level of support. And that starts about 1,810 and will extend down to that daily 100 SMA at 1,790. And just having a brief look at our indices, looking at the DAX, we can see that, I've mentioned that head and shoulders pattern before, and we can see how that then played out, hitting that, target level and also support level at 14,800, almost to the point. At this stage, we are still consolidating. And just looking at the price action, it does appear that we are in some kind of, a slightly upward trending channel with, higher highs and higher lows currently forming. Although there is strong resistance, I think, from this level of our R1 pivot, our monthly R1 pivot. So negative or bearish price action from that level could see a pullback back to that support level at about 15,170. And if that level breaks, that will then see price retest that lower diagonal and also the support zone at about 14,860. In terms of a bullish target, and if we do see a breakout above that monthly R1, I think it's possible that we could see price either retest that upper diagonal or perhaps even that yearly R1 at 15,700. Looking at the Dow, a similar thing that we are seeing in the Dow, definitely still consolidating, and we actually do have very nice and well-defined upper diagonal and lower diagonal boundaries here. And any break, through these boundaries will set up a target for us. And you can see we have our yearly R1 pivot at 34,770. And just above that, we have our monthly R2. So in between those two could be a possible bullish target should we see a breakout above that diagonal boundary. The monthly pivot, we also have a monthly pivot at 33,700. So if price were to come back into this level, it's important to just look out for some price action as a break from this level. We'll see a deeper pullback, perhaps towards this level of support of the monthly S2, and that is at 32,400, and also where it will find additional support from our daily 100 SMA. And then just concluding with the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ also still overall in this consolidation pattern, and also still trading above the daily 100 SMA. So there is still some bullish trend continuation going on, although it's worth noting that we do also have this very well-defined diagonal resistance and our 50 daily SMA that could be acting as resistance. And then just above that, of course, we also have the monthly pivot. So all of those areas will then act as a resistance. So that blue zone will then, of course, act as a resistance zone. So that level is sitting at about 13,700 to about where we're currently trading at 13,500. So just watch out for any bearish price action from this area, as that could then see a correction towards this lower diagonal and the vicinity of about 13,050 to about 13,100, depending on when we hit that level. And I'd say that concludes my technical analysis for the coming week. We really hope you enjoyed this special edition of the Weekly Market Fix. We'd love to hear from you, so please send us an email or leave us a comment below. Until next time, this is John Jacobs for RMD Trader. Remember, trade smart and trade successful.